Hello, Year 8. Welcome to week 2 of Love Poetry, your English lessons. This week we'll be looking at Valentine by Carol Ann Duffy. Hopefully you've got all of your resources and equipment with you, your fact book and a copy of the poem, as well as a pen and pencil, possibly a highlighter. Okay, so similar to last week, we're going to make a start with a quick knowledge check. There are 4 words on here which I'd like you to write down on a piece of paper. You've got metaphor, imperative, stanza and semantic field. What I'd like you to do is to pause the video here and have a go at writing down the definitions for each of those words. As well as that, if you'd like to, you can have a go at writing down an example as well. Pause the video and have a go at this task now. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that task. I'm going to go through now the answers and some examples. So number 1, a metaphor suggests that one thing is another thing. So for example, her eyes are sparkling diamonds. Number 2, imperative. This is a word which gives a command. So you might say now or here, take it. You're telling your reader to do something. Number 3, a stanza. This is the name given to the paragraphs or the structure of a poem. It might have been a bit tricky to write an example down there, but hopefully as we look at the poem and talk about the word stanza, you will have an idea of what that means if you don't already. And the final one, semantic field. This is a collection of words which are related to one another through similar meanings. So for example, in a poem that might be about a ship, words such as ocean, waves, sea, tide, blue, storm, wind, sails, etc., these would all fit that semantic field. Okay, so give yourself a mark out of 4. If there are any that you were unsure of or you didn't get right, then those are your targets, things to work on for next time. So make sure that you know those. Okay, so let's make a start and look at the context of this poem that we're going to be studying today. So Duffy, Carol Ann Duffy, the poet, she was the first female poet laureate, and her poems often reflect her feminist attitude. Now, a poet laureate is someone who is employed, if you like, to create poetry for a special occasion. So she was the first female poet laureate. The other word there, feminist, I've put that in bold and underlined it. It's one of your key words on your fact sheet. So feminism is the belief in women's rights. So someone who is a feminist actively supports the equality of the sexes. So Carol Ann Duffy was a feminist. This poem, Valentine, is what you might call an unconventional love poem. So in the poem, the speaker gives her love a present of an onion on Valentine's Day. Okay, so you might think this is an unusual idea. There's a couple of questions here in this box. What might you consider a more suitable present to give on Valentine's Day? Is this a strange idea for the poem to give an onion? What impression does it give of the poet? Just give you 2 or 3 minutes here if you want to pause the video to consider these questions. You don't necessarily need to write anything down, but I just want you to think about them for a couple of minutes. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to consider those questions and have got some ideas going forward as we start to analyse. Now, reading the poem, I want you to take a few moments to read the poem to yourself again, or if you haven't done so already. You could do this reading it aloud or reading it in your head, or if you find that tricky, alternatively you can listen to an audio version of the poem. This is a link to a good version on YouTube if you prefer to do it that way. Okay, so now you've read the poem, it's time to start our analysis. What you need to have in front of you is your copy of the poem and a pen and possibly a highlighter. Similar to what we did last time, I'm going to read through the poem in sections and pick out and make some notes. So hopefully you can do that on your copy as well. Not a red rose or a satin heart, I give you an onion. So the poem begins with what you might consider traditional symbols of love, this idea of a red rose or a satin heart. But in this instance, she is giving an onion. This is what you might consider an unconventional present or something that you wouldn't naturally associate with Valentine's Day. The poem continues, and hopefully this idea of what the onion represents in her mind becomes clearer. It is a moon wrapped in brown paper. It promises light, like the careful undressing of love. So Duffy here uses a metaphor. So the moon wrapped in brown paper. So the moon is the sort of the onion inside the brown paper, wrapping the skin of the onion. A moon can represent light or change, possibly even mystery. So this love is perhaps a little bit uncertain. That word there, undressing of love, suggests that love can have many layers, such as an onion has lots of layers. Perhaps you have to peel and reveal those different layers to develop your love. Here, so we have an imperative here. The writer is commanding the attention of her love. She's almost, you can imagine them holding out their hand with this onion inside it and saying, here, and pushing it towards the other person, a suggestion that they should take it from them. It will blind you with tears like a lover. It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. So there's this association continuing this idea of an onion. Tears can cloud your vision as you look in the mirror. Love is shown to be emotional, that they could be happy or they could be sad tears, but those tears cloud your vision, as it says here. A wobbling photo of grief. As you look in the mirror, tears sort of streaming down your face, that image becomes wobbly, that word that is used there. So it's that extended comparison with the onion. It can make you cry much as love can as well. So carrying on then, I am trying to be truthful, not a cute card or a kissogram. So she wants to be honest in her explanation of love. She, perhaps from her experience, knows that these sort of traditional cute cards or kissograms, as she said, they're not what her experience is. She doesn't perhaps believe in those cute images of red hearts and love in that way. She repeats here, I give you an onion. This repetition shows her insistence that the gift is accepted. She really wants to give this onion. It is clearly symbolic to her. Its fierce kiss will stay on your lips, possessive and faithful as we are, for as long as we are. So there's quite a bit of violent language and imagery in this section. Words such as fierce, possessive, and then further down we've got the word lethal, hint that maybe the relationship might be dangerous, dangerous in the sense of it being a bit all too consuming, maybe, that the love causes her to feel perhaps a bit unhappy. But this phrase here, as we are, for as long as we are, perhaps she knows that the relationship might not last forever. She's being quite realistic of that. Take it. So again, imperative verb used there. She's insisting that the person takes the onion from her, this present, this symbol of her love. Its platinum hoops shrink to a wedding ring, if you like. So picture this now. So it's this image as you cut inside to an onion, if you've ever done that, you will know that an onion has lots of layers, but those layers, as you look at them inside, shrink down in circles. She's comparing those and those sort of smaller ones in the center to possibly a wedding ring. So the inside of the onion is becoming symbolic, possibly showing her commitment. That term wedding ring, if you exchange wedding rings and you marry someone, that is quite a strong commitment and symbol of your love. Then you've got another word here, lethal, bringing back that violent language that we'd seen before. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife. So, lingering smell and feelings of love are shown through the image of the onion. Violent end of the poem, this suggestion of a knife, obviously to cut the onion, but what might else that suggest? Maybe the love has broken down, hence the fact that she is giving this unusual gift of an onion. She's trying to be symbolic, but maybe it doesn't end happily, and certainly the end of the poem has a negative tone, a negative ending to it. Okay, so that's the end of our main analysis there. If you want to pause the video for a second and go back and make sure you've got any of those annotations, then do that now. Okay, finally, we've got a series of tasks here for you to consider and have a go at through looking at the poem. So, number one, look at the semantic field of the poem. Remember, we looked at that term semantic field right at the start of this video, so if you need a little recap, have a look at that now. So can you identify words or phrases that link together in this poem? And then can you explain the effect of this? So what might it make you think or feel? Number two, what is the overall tone of the poem? Is it positive or is it negative? Can you pick out any evidence to support your opinion? And finally, number three, how does Duffy present the idea of love in her poem? Now, I've written out a very rough sort of paragraph structure here if you need a bit of help to get started with that one. So Duffy presents the idea of love in her poem as whatever you may think. Hear the evidence, pick out a quote, and then explain what it suggests. Then sum up your ideas. Overall, Duffy shows her idea of love to be, and then you finish that sentence. Have a go at those tasks, make sure that you've got your annotations done, and that's the end of the lesson for this week. Thank you.